right, good morning, everyone. By the waves, you can hear me all right? Yes, thank you, I appreciate that. Well, welcome. This is our monthly Agent to Owner Mastermind. So for those that are joining us for the first time, my name is Brendan Bartic with the Bartic group at Keller Williams Realty. I know we have people on from every type of company, and that's completely fine. We actually enjoy that. With myself, I've been a real estate agent for almost 20 years. I've been an assistant, an agent on a team. I've been a brokerage owner. I still own a brokerage. I own a coaching company. And I just have a passion for helping basically agents and real estate professionals succeed at the highest level. So that's why we're here. We're going to be talking about some strategies, some tools, some techniques to be able to make sure that you're doing that. And this is a mastermind. So if you can be on video and share, then it makes it a lot more engaging. If you can't and you're here just to listen, that's totally fine as well. We completely understand. Today's topic is one that I think is probably one of the main reasons so many professionals in the real estate industry have so much success, is what we call the power of a visual scoreboard. So we're going to take a deep dive into that on how to create one for yourself, how to create one for your organization, different types, different styles, and why they are so critical. So I will start out, and if you have pen and paper, it will make this experience a lot more enjoyable. But I'll start out with asking the simple question of, what is your vision for your business for 2022? What is your vision for your business for 2022? All right, so make sure we have that written down. Now, herein lies the rub, as they say. Usually when I have this conversation with top producing real estate professionals, the difference between a goal and a vision gets a lot of people confused. So what would be a vision for 2022 for your company? And again, even if you're just a single agent, that is your company. You are an independent business. What's your vision for 2022? And it's okay, it's a safe area. Anyone wants to share? Okay, maybe none of us know our vision for 2022. Okay, no one? Not a single person? It's gonna be a hard mastermind if we don't know our vision for 2022. All right, yeah.
My vision, well, I know what my goals are. I have kind of two sides to my business. We work with investors and help people that can't get financing. So we do lease to own or contract for deed. It's very cool because we get to work with other agents and lenders, all kind of with the same goal to help clients. So my goal is to increase the deal flow, help more people on a more consistent basis. And then since I'm a licensed agent, also ramp up how many listings I do, as well as help my team get going, because I've got some brand new agents. So that's kind of goals, vision, kind of wrapped all in a high level answer.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Toby. Yeah, the only one brave enough so far this morning to come off. So because Toby is so brave, I'm going to use
Realty, Dallas, Texas, and on this.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. And then yeah, Lindsay and Ann, if we can just watch that situation. So cool. So we'll use Toby as a perfect example. And don't feel bad if you're not quite crystal clear on what your vision is for what you want to accomplish. This is what we're going to really be taking a deep dive into. So I was listening to we have a book club with our team, and we were listening to Tony Robbins on Unleash Your Inner Power. And it's always a book we go back to almost every 2 years because we've listened to it so many times, but there's so many nuggets in there. And one of the things that I thought was interesting that he said this morning is he said, You can have the best intention, the best goal, the best everything, but if you don't have a strategy, you're never going to get there. And his example was, he goes, no matter what, if your vision is to run until you can see the sunset, well, if you're running to the east, it's never going to happen, right? You're just never going to see the sun set on the east. You could have the best intentions, you really want to do it, you could run as hard as you want, you're never going to see it because your strategy is wrong. You had the best intentions, but you got to turn around and you got to run to the west, right? You're only going to see that sunset if you're facing west. And what I see a lot of people doing is we have the best goals, the best intentions, but we don't have the same. So let's take apart Toby's situation here for a second, thinking this through. So Toby said a lot of things in there. I've got some agents that are joining me that want to help. We do this type of business. We want to increase lead flow. So for most of us, when we talk about vision, I always explain to people I work with is you as a leader, you're responsible for 3 very specific things of your business. And you are the leader of your own company. And you should tattoo them on your forearm or somewhere that your clients can't see, whatever, right? It's 3 things. Number 1, you have to set a crystal clear vision for your organization. Even if that's an organization of 1, you have to set a crystal clear vision. Number 2, you have to provide to yourself maximum accountability on a weekly, daily, monthly basis. And number 3, you have to make sure you always have enough capital to grow the business. Those are the 3 things that I think about every waking minute. Well, not every minute, but every waking day for me as a business owner. Did I set a clear vision? Am I holding myself and others accountable to it? And did I make sure that we have enough profit and cash flow to grow the business and make sure if COVID happens, issues come up, anything affects me, that I'm not going to be out of business because of that situation? Okay. So if that's the main basis, we have to have a crystal clear vision, and then we have to hold ourselves accountable to it. One of the best ways to do that is with a very simple practice called the 4 disciplines of execution. And for those that have joined me before, you can obviously know I'm a huge fan of this. There's 2 books I would always tell you to read: 4 Disciplines of Execution and the book Scaling Up by Vern Harnish. Those are 2 game changer books that are basically fundamental ways on how to simplify and grow your individual business and then eventually grow it into a scalable business over time. Let's talk about, just for a quick introduction again, the 4 disciplines of execution. Does anybody know what discipline number 1 is?
Focus on the wildly important.
There you go, Rudy. Yes. So focus. So first, discipline number 1 is create a wildly important goal. So we have to make sure we know where we're going. If I'm going to Everest, I'm going to Everest. If I'm going to Utah, I'm going to Utah. If I'm going to sell 60 homes, I'm going to sell 60 homes. If I'm going to sell 500 homes, I'm going to, or help 500 families. If I'm going to raise X amount for charity, I'm going to do X amount for charity. If I'm going to take 15 listings this year, I'm going to take 15 listings this year. What's the wildly important goal? And I want you to define this right underneath this, that if I nail this one thing, everything else gets better. If I nail this one thing, everything else gets better. And I hear people tell me all the time, I've got this goal, I've got that goal, and they're so all over the place. In that chaos, nothing gets accomplished. Okay. So we have to establish the wild important goal. For a lot of us in real estate, that is a transaction number. We go, if I hit this number and help this many families, my life changes for the better, and so does my family, my team, and everything else. Here's the problem that we have, and we're going to get to how to create the scoreboard for this in just a moment. Where I see people struggle with establishing this goal is people will sometimes say to me, my goal is to really build my network this year. Not a bad goal, but not a definable goal. I want to build my network this year. I want to increase my price point. I hear that a lot. You know what I really want to do this year? I really want to increase my price point. Cool. How much? And by when? And how are you going to do it? So the acronym that we live and die by every waking minute, day, or every day is the SMART acronym. So SMART. Anything we put on this piece of paper has to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. If it doesn't fit in that acronym, it doesn't fit in your world. I just did an interview with a gentleman the other day, and I was talking to him about his goals, and he goes, you know, I just want to make enough money to be happy. I go, cool. How much is that? Well, you know, just enough so I don't have to worry about money anymore. I understand. How much is that? Well, you know, just enough so I don't have to work so hard. Okay, I understand. How much is that? Right? How much is that? There is a number that it'll get to that people are like, you can't define happiness. I can for me. I know what my number is to define that number. Okay. So we have to be very specific, make sure that it falls within the SMART acronym, and make sure that we understand that. So first of all, we have to establish a wildly important goal that is specific, that we can measure, that's attainable. And here's the thing with relevant. I had someone the other day, and I always tell this story, not the other day, it was probably 6 months ago or a year now. They're wanting to join our organization. He goes, why are you in real estate? What's the real reason we do all this? I want to make enough money to buy a food truck. I go, okay. I go, so you want to sell enough houses to get out of this business, but you're interviewing with me to join my organization. I was like, that's not really relevant, man. Like that, I'm glad you want a food truck, but it's not relevant to what we're trying to accomplish, right? Maybe it was relevant to what he was trying to accomplish, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but he was just confused. He was doing this for the wrong reason, right? And then of course, we got to make sure it's time-based. So discipline number one, we established that goal that has to be specific enough that we can measure. Discipline number two, we have to establish our lead measures or our KPIs that if our activities accomplish this, or from our activities, doing these activities, then our WIG becomes accomplished. So I'll make this easy. My WIG is I want to help 100 families buy or sell real estate this year. What do you think the two most important activities are? Measurable lead measures, not lag measures. Now, make sure you write this down because this is where you're going to get confused as well. What's the difference between a lead measure and a lag measure? Anyone?
Lead measure is what you do to get the results.
Correct. So like, give me an example, Rudy, in real estate. What do you think a lead measure would be? Like, what do you think?
Prospecting?
Yeah, yes, prospecting, right? So hitting a certain amount of conversations about buying or selling real estate is a lead measure. Setting a real estate appointment would be a lag measure. The appointment is an effect of the actual measure. So hosting, if you knew that for you to sell 10 houses, you need to do 24 open houses, 2 a month. The open house would be the lead measure, right? The activity of you knowing from every time you do an open house, you have 10 people come through. Out of those 10 people that come through, you convert usually one person that becomes a client of yours, and that person turns into a sale. It's the activity of doing the open house, though, that's the lead measure. All right? What would be another lead measure? You want to sell 100 homes. So Rudy said prospecting, but that's vague. It would have to be conversations about buying or selling real estate, doors knocked, open houses held, networking events attended, could possibly be in there. That one gets a little, because it's unpredictable on how many people you're going to meet possibly. Same like an open house, but still possible. What else? Is there anything else that you think?
People in your sphere of influence or the activities that you do with your sphere?
Exactly. So this could be, thank you, Chrissy. This could be client appreciation events. This could be direct mail. I know when I send X amount of mail pieces, when I send 4,000 mail pieces a month to my farm, I convert into X amount of leads. So as long as I put out this mailer and I do this, right, I get to that point, right? So I would challenge you to narrow your goal down, whatever it is, to just 2. 3 at the absolute max. But I would really challenge you to get it down to 2 lead measures that if you nail these activities right, and if you're brand new, maybe you're like, I don't even know, right? Maybe you're hypothesizing on what you need to do to make this happen. Talk to another successful agent in your area or location, or reach out to us, and we'll give you some guidelines. Here's one that I think is critical. Leads entered into your CRM and processed 100%. Leads entered into your CRM. So with us, we have a proprietary system where we put someone in, we call it our F1 through F6 system. We do all of these, you may have heard this, like Ben Kinney calls it 10 days of pain. Lance Logan calls it 12 days to paradise. You can call it whatever you want, right? There's these different systems where when you meet a new client or person, you do your specific process. You put them on a newsletter, you add them on a search. They become a met or a haven't met, depending upon the situation, whatever it might be. For us, and many of you know this, I've been studying this number for the past 15 years. For the last 15 years in our organization, it ranges from 25 to 35 for every 1 closing we have. In 2022, 2021 for our organization, the Bartic Group, it was 27. And again, that's across all the agents on my team. So you've got new people and you've got people that have been crushing it for years. The people that are crushing it for years, they're right around 7 to 8. For every 7 to 8 they put into the system, new, process 100%, in that last year, they closed 1 transaction. If you're brand new, I would set the median of 27, if not more, because you're not going to be getting those referrals, the past clients, the center of influence. So I always ask everyone, how many homes do you want to sell? How many leads do you need to have and do you need to process to make that number a reality? Okay, so let's just do an easy example. Okay, let's just say that your number is 27 because you don't know what your number is. And you want to close, let's do 24 homes, right? So 27 times 24, you have to have 648 leads processed this year in some form or fashion, right? So we divide that by 12 months. That's 54 a month. We divide that by 4 weeks. That's 13.5 people that you have to put into the system. If you are brand new and you're just going off of my metrics, right? Period, end of story, that you would have to put in process. That's a pretty good number to understand, right? Then your other number you'd probably want to understand if you're creating a visual scoreboard is, okay, I need this amount of leads entered into this. Now, if you've been doing this a while, go back to your 2021, see how many people you put into your entire CRM in 2021 and divide it by how many closed sales you've had. Just do that exercise, not now, but afterwards. It'll blow your mind. If you're going, I don't have a CRM, then you probably aren't closing very many homes. No offense. And when I mean many homes, I mean more than 25 plus. I know you exist out there. Some of you are just hanging on to that Excel spreadsheet. You're clocking it, and you've been in the business for 42 years. I'm not questioning that. I'm saying we want to do it faster, better, smarter. Cool? No offense. Don't take it any way other than that. All right? So leads entered and processed with your proprietary system. So you have to define what that system is. Okay, make sure you understand that you do it the same way. Okay, cool. So now we have that number. So if we're looking at it, and for example, this person wants to close 13 deals, or excuse me, 24 deals, they have to put 13 people into the system a month. Where are they going to get those 13 people? What do you think? Where do those 13 people come from?
Online marketing.
Online marketing, exactly. So we could have pay-per-click leads, Zillow, realtor.com, Facebook it leads, whatever it might be coming through. Now, if you're basing your entire business off of just those, and I know she's not, but if you were, you might need more of those. Maybe your conversion goes to 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35 for every one that closes if you were doing everything from internet leads. Because we know internet leads convert at 3 to 5%. Zillow will lie to you and tell you 10%. They are lying to you. There is not an internet lead on this planet that is converting at 10%. Sorry to bust that bubble. That's how they sell you leads. Okay. So 3 to 5%. So that means for every 100 you purchase or receive, you're going to close 5 if you're really good. Okay, so great point, Christy. Where else are we going to get them? Open houses, direct mail, networking, whatever it is. We've just got to look at the end of every week going, did I add my, whatever your number might be? Did I add my, whatever your number might be? Then you know from your prospecting, right? If you're a hardcore prospector, you're going, mine are going to come from, so my 13 are going to come from expireds for sell by owners, just sold calls. I'm not going to spend any money on marketing yet because I'm new to this. I'm going to go hunt this down. I'm going to door knock. Well, then you have to know one other thing is for every 100 phone calls you make, how many of those people turn into a viable lead to put into your database, meaning name, phone number, email address, and some sort of intent to do business with you at some point in your lifetime. That's a lead. That's not a MET. I'll explain that in a second. That's a lead. Any questions on this thus far? I seem like I'm like yelling today. I don't know why. I apologize. I'll be more calm. Is this clear? Everyone understand? Cool, cool. Okay, great. So then another great indicator is METs and haven't METs. A MET being someone that you truly believe would buy or sell real estate with you, that's in your real estate database, that you have on your proprietary touch program, that's receiving at minimum 33 touches or more a year from you, so that you're in relationship and you guys can have money babies together, right? Those are METs, right? We're going to be in a relationship with people. They're going to love on us, love on us, love on us. All of a sudden, we get knocked up, we have a money baby, and we're excited to do that again and again and again, right? That's what we're trying to do with our METs, right? So maybe your lead measure is this year, I'm going to add 100 METs, fully processed all the way through. If Brendan called him and said, hey, who's your realtor? They'd be like, oh, that's my girl, Jennifer. Like they would say it in 2 seconds without a hesitation, right? This would be somebody that I say all the time. If they were in a restaurant and they had someone listening to them and they're like, oh, you're interested in buying real estate? They would grab that person's arm and be like, you have to talk to Catherine Martin. I'm not kidding. I heard you say something about possibly buying a house here. She is phenomenal. That's a MET. That's different than a lead. All right. So if your goal is to add 100 METs, then that's 2 a week, right? Ish, you know, you're going to add 100 METs. So we're going to talk about how to build your scoreboard, this visual of how do I just make sure I'm focusing on that. If I nail that, and here's what METs convert at. Every 6, you'll close a deal. 6-to-1 ratio. You can set your watch to it. 6-to-1. All right. Now, it doesn't work for every 6 you put in. This magical deal doctor comes down and gives you a transaction. I wish that it did. That would be super awesome. It takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of time. All right. And then the last category, haven't mets. Haven't mets mean people that I'm targeting, that I'm going to spend my marketing money to, that is a targeted group. So a neighborhood, a building, a type of purchaser, horse property people. This could be golf course community people. This could be, you might be going after, like Toby said, maybe foreclosures or people on the NED list, and you've really got that system down. This is someone that's receiving a marketing piece from you monthly that you're trying to create a tribe with, that eventually raises their hand and says, hey, I'm kind of interested. And then they move over to the Met world. They convert it 50 to 1. 50 to 1. And again, over time. All right. So we had to make sure we understand those lead measures. Here's what's not a lead measure. Closings, that's a lag measure. Appointments, that's a lag measure. Money is a lag measure. All right. So discipline 1, establish your wildly important goal, your WIG. Number 2, make sure you have your 2 lead measures that if you nail these right and you get these done, your WIG will become a reality with your best hypothesis. Now, again, try to do as much research as you can to figure out those numbers. Now we get to discipline number 3 and why we're here today. Create a powerful visual scoreboard. Again, we've got to have the map. If I want to drive from here to Austin, it's going to be pretty darn hard if I don't have a map to get there. I could take all kinds of different ways to get there. Who knows if I'll ever make it there? I need to have a map that get me the shortest route possible with the least amount of stops. That's what this visual scoreboard is going to help you accomplish. And then lastly, discipline number 4, we're going to have a cadence of accountability. What does the word cadence mean?
At certain interval.
A cadence, exactly, Catherine. Yeah, she's going like this, right? My piano teacher, she's like, Brandon, you are not in tempo, Brandon. She's from Uzbekistan or somewhere. I don't know where she's from, but it's really hard to understand her, but she's like, I'm never in tempo, right? So it's a rhythm. What we're trying to create is a rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's what she says to me all the time. Brandon, you're not in tempo, right? So you get it, right? So what we're trying to have a cadence of accountability for yourself and your organization. All that means is every week we're taking our visual scoreboard and we're going to be having someone hold us accountable to it. So we complete it, take a picture of it and go, Brendan, I did it. Here it is. Here's where I'm at. Last week was tough. Here's what I hear all the time. You don't understand. Here's what happened last week. I had $1 for every time I heard that first line. You don't understand. Here's what happened last week. Everybody's special with their unique issues. It's fascinating to me how much everyone thinks they're so special, right? The visual scoreboard is your lie detector test. It's the scale, right? It's every week you stepping on and going, man, I really did eat all of that. Or I did good. Yay for me. That's all it is. All right. So, but if you could have the best scoreboard on earth, if there's no accountability or no discussion about it, then it doesn't matter. It was just, it's like having a map and then you're pulling over asking for directions. It's the same point. All right. Cool. So now we've got our 4 disciplines of execution. Now let's talk about creating that very powerful visual scoreboard. So every one of us is completely different in how we visualize and interpret things. Some of us like to have things digital. Some of us like to have things handwritten out and with little stickers and bears on them and hearts and fuzzy kittens and you know, all of this stuff, right? I'm going to talk about a series of different scoreboards here. But before we start, I want to make sure we're clear. Do you have your vision? Do you have your WIG identified? Is your WIG identified? And are you crystal clear on what your 2 lead measures are? And let's open that up for a conversation. Is anybody kind of challenged on, and guys, don't be scared. Everyone on here is friends. Better to know this now than have to go figure it out when we get off this Zoom. And you're like, I don't get it. So share with me, what are your lead measures that you're going to use? Well, first of all, and again, you don't have to share your wig. Some people are like, I don't want to say my wig. It's like, all right, well, whatever. And then I don't know what to tell you. Here's the other thing we know. The more people that know, the more likely it is to happen.
Yep.
So Jennifer, what do you got? I know you're brave.
I'm mostly brave. Yeah, so for me, my business has been traditionally very buyer heavy. I do a lot of agent referrals. So those referrals are typically buyers. And in this current market, I'm sure you guys are having it down in Denver. You know, we have like 20 listings under $1 million. So maybe 20. I have to focus on getting sellers this year because that is the only way I'm going to grow, period. I've never focused just on sellers, and mostly the sellers I get are from Sphere or from a referral. So I'm not out working the expireds or making the phone calls I need to make. That's a big deal for me. So for me this year, I want to double the amount of listings that I take because I think that's the only way I'm going to grow my business.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So let's talk about it thank you for sharing as well. Let's talk about it for just a second here, right? So then for you, what would that wildly important goal be? Is it listings taken this year? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
I love it. And for you, and again, in Vail, correct?
Vail and Breckenridge.
Vail and
Yep.
Breckenridge. So yeah, so how many do you need? How many listings taken do you need in 2022 for you to feel that you're successful? What is that number?
If I could get 10,
Okay.
that would be a success.
Well, it's always how we talk to ourselves. So
When
you
I get 10.
Exactly. All right, perfect. So when she gets 10. So again, everybody's market's different, right? 10 listings there, that's like 40 million in GCI, right? So no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But close to, probably could
Easily.
be. Easily, right? So she's going to sit out for her wig as 10 listings taken in 2022. What should her lead what should her lead measures be? What do you think, Jennifer?
I think my lead measures need to be how many calls I'm making to expired listings, how many people I'm reaching out to in terms of, I have, some of my leads that are on the sell side. I have to be calling them and reaching out to them more regularly to get them to sell or get them to see how much money they're going to make when they sell these mountain properties.
I love it. So let's take this for a second. This is a great example, and I want everybody to pay attention to this because this is challenging. So here's what I know about the Vail Breckenridge area. Is there going to be enough expireds or for sale by owners to really support you taking 10 listings from them?
Probably not for sale by owners. We don't get pretty much any. We do have expireds though.
Sure.
So
right?
some of those expireds haven't been in the last year, but they may have been 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago. And obviously we've had a big market change.
So here would be a lead activity. How many people are in your database, Jennifer?
Ooh, a lot.
I know. Yeah, you've been doing this for a decent amount of time. So how many do you think are in there? Like let's just say 500, 200, 100?
Let's say that I have 500.
I love it.
That aren't
Perfect.
agents, because I have
Right, that aren't agents. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she has 500. So for everyone, she has 500 people in her database. Her second part of what she said was, if I could connect with these people and show them how much money they could make if they sold right now, then I could convert that into that. So let's just take that as a conversion ratio. Let's just say that there's 500 in there. And from that 500 person database, let's say that she even converted just 5%. So times 0.05, that would be 25 listings, right? Just in that, if she could just do 5%. So as we go to 3%, even 1%, right, would be 5.
Mhm.
I think. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not the great at math, but yeah, somewhere close to that.
I think so.
So what's the activity that would be the game changer? And here's what I think it would be.
Yeah.
delivering a comprehensive comparative market analysis to every single person that owns a home in Vail in your database, showing them the numbers set with a follow-up call.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying? If
Yep.
she did that, well, imagine Jonathan gets this package from Jennifer and goes, man, this is pretty legit, and says, and it has little circles on it showing how much freaking money they've made in the last 5 years of owning in Vail. And with a simple note going, is now the right time to cash out?
I like that.
And she calls 3 days later or 2 days later and says, hey, Susie, did you get my mail? Oh yeah, we sure did, Jennifer. Boy, and you know what? We were just talking about the same thing because we're like, how much longer is this going to last?
Yeah.
So the lead measure is X amount of CMAs completed with addition of follow-up call. Cool?
Yes, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that was a great example. I'm glad. So if you're still struggling, everyone, yeah, you've got to, not all of us do business the same. Some of us are cold callers. Some of us are database people. Some of us are networkers. Some of us are our significant other is the reason we're so successful because they're the one that's out there doing all the networking, and behind the scenes we're like, hey, I just got to convert this, right? Because they're that, and that's awesome. It doesn't matter. Don't get caught up in it, but we've got to think about it going, I need X amount of people, and then I just have to think about conversion over time and what's that value I'm going to be able to provide. It's all this business comes down to. Cool. Now,
like an annual thing, Brendan?
Yeah, so you want to establish your annual WIG, then we're going to break this down into quarters for our visual scoreboard. So we want to create a visual scoreboard for a 3-month period. Now, you can do a full year, but it's hard to keep it exciting after a while. So you might do the first quarter and you go, you know what? That didn't work. Or you did the first quarter and you go, that was awesome, and you do it again, right? That's great, but we're going to do this, and that's a great question, Jonathan. We're going to take your wildly important goal with how much you need to do for the entire year and break it into quarters. All right. So let's talk visuals just for a second. So I've got some examples on my desk here. So I love marbles. So for the year, I always start my marble jar with how many I need to accomplish. And then I've got my smaller jar with how many I need to do, how many I'm actually completing on a weekly basis. That's a very simple visual for me that sits on my desk and constantly reminds me that I'm a lazy son of a gun or I'm crushing it. One goes to another. What do you think my marbles represent?
Listings.
Okay, so I love that, Catherine. Listings. Remember, listings
Agent.
taken is a lag measure.
Max.
Thank you, sir. Who was that, Rudy?
Yes.
Thanks, Rudy. They're my Mets. For me, Mets are very, very critical, right? So as I look at it, I know I need X amount of Mets because from X amount of Mets, we also hire X amount of agents. X amount of agents on average sell X amount of homes. It's just a different, for me, I'm just at a different place on how my structure is. If I was doing it the same way for selling houses, I would also measure Mets. Okay. So that's a big one. All right. Now, you can also use, if you don't like the noise of marbles, super bouncy balls. Right? Super bouncy balls are fantastic, right? So you can do super bouncy balls if that's your visual scoreboard. All right. So those are tangible scoreboards, physically touch. I always say this story. I don't think my friend David Fowler's on here, but David Fowler, I was talking to him. He lives in Savannah, Georgia. He goes, I talked to him about this whole Met thing. He's like, Brendan, I get it, man. Yeah, I want to add 100 Mets too. Like I'm with you. I'm going to do 100 Mets this year. Absolutely. And I go, well, what's going to be your visual scoreboard? We didn't talk for about a week or so. He comes back, sends me this picture. He's super excited. He goes out in his yard and he collects 100 pine cones. And he has these big buckets that he had, that he does, like, you know, when you close on a house, he gives you like this package of stuff. So he had these extra buckets that said Fowler Home Team on them. So he goes, I got 100 pine cones, Brendan. I just got to get 2 pine cones a week from that one bucket to the other bucket. And if I do that, shit, I'll be rich. I said, hell yeah, David, let's go. Right? I said, let's do it. All right. And some of you know who he is, and it's maybe not exactly how he sounds, but it's pretty close. right? So that was his visual scoreboard. His daughters thought it was fun. They were cracking up about these pine cones. It's got to work for you. My scoreboard might not be the same as your scoreboard. Now, I'm going to share a screen of some visual scoreboards that you can kind of use as a reference point here and take a look at. So did we share those in the chat box yet? I think we did. We got the SMART goals. Can you share the 5 commitments, 2 buckets in there, please? I appreciate that. And while she's doing that, I'm going to show you another. So let's talk about digital scoreboards for a second, right? So Jonathan, you use Sisu, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so do I. So Sisu is I don't know, it's not a CRM, it's an accountability, transaction management, super tool that, you know, any agent that's doing good business should use. But it has all kind of scoreboards built into it. You can put your TV up on your wall, and like at our office, Jonathan has one in his office space. I have one in the hallway, and you can walk by and you can see exactly where everything is at. Who's the top producer? Then it rotates a screen and says, who is like the highest converter that month? Who's got the most leads entered into the system in process? You can set it up however you want. And it's a very pretty, very analytical scoreboard, right? Right. So, but you got to go over it. If no one sees it and you have this really cool tool, but you're not looking at it, then it's not going to matter. Now, the only thing challenging about a digital scoreboard, so it's Sisu, all of our agents, and including myself, we report our numbers at the end of the night into an app. That app then converts it into the scoreboard, and then you can see it visually. For some people, maybe that's good. For others, they're going, I don't have any emotion to that. There's not, it's just very, you know, it depends on how your brain works. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. We require it of our team because we know that that data is so helpful to them in the future to understand what they're doing on a daily basis. Okay. All right. So you've got those. I'm going to show you an amazing visual scoreboard here. Let me pull it up here. All right. Let's look at this thing. All right. So this is a 12-week scoreboard. So you've got January, February, March, right? Mets processed in Real Geeks, and then the activities that have to happen in that week. So this person knows that this is their legend. So I have to do X amount of phone call, email. I'm not sure what the hazard sign is for me personally, but I'm not sure what that's for. And then every single week, did they hit their goal? Each one of these circles represents a certain amount of Mets, right? So it's 5, 10, 15, 20, I don't know. It could be, actually, I think it's just 5. They know if they add 5 a week, they're going to get to where they need to be. So this is a very good example. I know for this person, it hangs up on their wall. They see it every single day. It's the first thing they see when they come in, the last thing they see when they leave. That's a visual scoreboard, okay? Now, let's have fun with this. I wanted to spend some time having fun. If you don't have a scoreboard, we're going to make one for you today. Now, this is super easy. I'm going to give you scoreboarding 101. And before we jump, we did get the 5 commitments. All right, I'm going to show you another just before we do that. So make sure you have pen and paper, and then we're going to create you a really fun scoreboard. All right, so here's a real simple visual scoreboard. Let me share it because I know I'm not. Don't worry. And all right, that's a visual scoreboard. All right, so on the bottom we laminate this piece of paper, and I have one here. So again, it's just nice and laminated, so you can write on it and then erase it and add things to it. So when we look at this visual scoreboard, and you're all more than welcome to use it, on the right hand side, the bottom of the bucket is how many haven't Mets I want to add this year. The bottom left is how many Mets I want to add this year. And then on the top, where I'm at year to date. And so I use a little dry erase marker. I lick my finger every week. I add how many, or even during the day, if I add one, I go, that's awesome. I just went from 6 Mets to 7 Mets. Good for me, right? I know for every 6 that I process 100%, I close a deal. I've got my big why. Why am I doing this? And we're going to talk about how to make sure that you're using your scoreboard at the highest level. And then down here, these are just my targets. The bottom row is my monthly goal for each one of these categories. And then every week I update where I'm at on the top row. That's a powerful, easy one-page visual scoreboard. Very, very simple scoreboard, okay? I think hopefully you can see this. I'll share another one, right? So this can work for a lot of different people in how you analyze data. You would look at this and you would go, highly analytical person here, right? This is my president of lead generations visual scoreboard, right? They need ISA applicant phone interviews completed, ISA binder completed, 20 leads per agent per month. So they're figuring all this thing out. This is how that person's brain works. And here I am with marbles. Like, we're all different. We are all different people. All right. So that's another way to look at it. So let's make, if you have just a simple piece of paper, let's just make what I call the easiest scoreboard on earth. Right? We're going to call it Mount Everest. So all we're going to do on your paper is just draw a giant triangle. Okay. It's just going to look like a really sad Christmas tree. Okay. So it's a giant triangle. That's what we're doing here. Then we're going to break that triangle into 12 weeks. So you're just going to have 3 different sections. So now your tree has got little arms, right? So the tree's got arms. In each side of this mountain we're climbing is going to be your 2 lead indicators. It's very simple to do, right? So at the first quarter, if your goal, let's say your goal is to sell 100 homes this year, or 25 or whatever a number is, the first quarter, let's just go off of 100, I'm going to close 25 closed sales. So at the top, I've got my mountain. I want to get the 25 closed, right? That's the very tip top. Now I've got my 2 lead measures on what I have to do to get there on that mountain. So we just talked about one that I'm going to use that's very simple. Leads entered into the system.
Did you say that was your month total at the top?
That's the quarter.
Quarter.
So we're
okay.
just doing, yeah. So remember, all goals that we do for visual scoreboards are per quarter, a 12-week year. If you haven't read the book 12-Week Year, it just makes it a lot more understandable. They explain this in 4 Disciplines of Execution. They'll explain this in Gazelles. Every quarter resets if you look at it as a new year. All right. Now, that brings up a good question too, just for some of you as well. Maybe if you're setting your goals for the year and you live in a very seasonal area, if your goal for the year was 100, maybe the first quarter you do 20 sales, second 30, third quarter 30, and the fourth quarter 20 because of your seasonality. If you know you're going to do 60 sales over the summer months and only 40 during the winter months, adjust your quarterly scoreboard. Just don't divide everything perfectly by 4 if it doesn't work that way in your area. Okay, that's another big piece. Okay, so we've got our 2 things. So on the left side, I'm going to do a measurement of how many leads do I need to put into the system for me to close 25 sales. Let's go back to our calendar or our calculator. 25 times 27. I need 675 leads entered into the system. Divided by 12 weeks, I have to have 56 per, and again, this is 25 sales in 1 quarter, in 3 months. I need to have 56 leads entered into the system. So I'm going to create for each week little marks, little hash marks, right? So if I'm doing 56 a week, I know that I have to have 4 smaller hash marks inside each little Christmas tree arm. Each one of those hash marks has to equal 56 leads. And I'm not the best artist, but I'll show you what it looks like. So 1, 56, 56, 56, and 56. Okay. So there we go. So I have to have 56 a week in that first month of January at the bottom of my first tree to know that I'm hitting the right number. Just do your math on what your number is. Then I'm going to hash mark that all the way up. The second quarter, 4 more, the third quarter, 4 more, and then make it fun. Then you're going to have, so on our big ones, we have this on a huge whiteboard at our office. We've got a little mountain climber sticker guy that moves up the list as he gets closer and closer. And we have a cougar It was supposed to be a mountain lion, but everyone thought cougar was funnier. So then we've got a cougar on the other side, going up the other side of the mountain. And I'm going to talk about the other side of the mountain. So whatever it is for you, every week, you can know, and again, however your numbers work, did you get a gold star that week? Now, here's the most fun about visual scoreboards. When we hit our goal, we celebrate. So what's your first quarter celebration going to be? That's what makes this, ties it all together. So maybe it's you go to Vegas and you fly first class. Maybe it's you take the kids to Legoland. And I don't know how that could possibly be a reward, but for some of you, maybe it is, right? You go to Legoland and knock yourselves out. Good for you, right? Maybe it's you have a spa day. Maybe it's you go to Sizzler. I don't know, whatever it is that's your jam, right? That's how you go celebrate. So you got to make sure that celebration is right up here at the top, big and bold. So you're focusing on, if I do this, I get this. If I do this, I get this. Some people take their visual scoreboards and they do monthly little celebrations when they hit it. Okay. You could also do that if you're more like, hey, I need a quicker reward system. Here's the last piece on rewards. You can also structure this on what we call yellow, green, and super green. Yellow means you did the bare ass minimum, just enough to get by. Green means you did pretty good, and your super green goal is like you're going to Hawaii first class and it's going to be a blast. Like you crushed it, crushed it, crushed it. Some people like to structure their visual scoreboard like that because they go, I want a participation award. I really pushed myself this time, and I really, really pushed myself, and I get the super trifecta award. All of us are different. Now, the best way to bring this to life, and we're going to talk about this other side here in a second, is your spouse needs to know, your boyfriend, your family, and they need to be involved with somehow being attached to this end goal. So your kid looks up and goes, Mom, really? We're not going to Legoland? Like you decided to slack off? Thanks a lot. Like, do you want to deal with that? But they need to know, if mommy does this, we go here. Right? Okay. So everyone has to be on the same page. Now, you've got your left side. Now, your right side for your goals, let's say that we wanted to do Mets, right? Let's say you wanted to do open houses. Maybe for you, you know, if you do 2 open houses per month, right? You have your 2 big open houses written on here, and you know that you produce leads from them. It's like, boom. All right, I'm going to guarantee that I do X amount. And as you get up that line, if you nailed all, you know, again, 12 or 6 of those open houses, you get to have X reward. You can't be worried about the outcome. So if you don't hit 25 closed sales because of these efforts, then you're going to analyze, if you did the efforts, that's what you're celebrating. I want to be very clear on that, right? Don't get disappointed. If you did all of these things right and the 25 closed sales didn't happen that month, but you can see from those activities, the ratio is starting to work out, then maybe next quarter you have to do 3 open houses a month to make it work out. Because it just didn't happen to get to, you didn't get enough leads that you needed from that system. All right. And you'll have a very much prettier than this scoreboard for your first quarter. Now, could you apply this to a month? Sure. Do you have to do a quarter? No. It's hard to do more than this. Now, we used to have a big scoreboard that would have 4 mountains, 1 for each quarter, that went all the way up. I love it. I think that can also work, but you got to focus on celebrating the first quarter every single week. Are we there or are we not? So for me and my team, I just measured it. We need 780 leads entered per month. Let me rephrase that. 780 per month for our organization to hit our goal. I just ran the numbers. We have 5 days left in the month, right? What am I talking about? Right now we're at 595 with 5 days left. So I've got to be talking about it. What can we do? Why are you at 6 and he's at 28? Why are we this? Why are we that? Maybe next month I do a contest. So whoever has the most leads entered and processed 100% using our system gets an iPad or whatever. Whew, that's a lot in that session. All right, what do we think? What are some any thoughts? Do you think you can go and execute this now? Do you think this will help? What are you thinking? Everyone's, I mean, besides me and my friend Jennifer on this webinar together.
I think this is really helpful for me. I
you.
didn't understand the difference in the METs and the lag. So I think this is something that I could actually implement probably by the end of today if I really sit down, think about it, cultivate it, and just get myself in that mindset. So thank you, Brennan.
No, Candace, that was so nice. I just got goosebumps. That was so kind. Yeah, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people make scoreboards, and I see it all the time. I need to sell houses, so their scoreboard is houses. And I go, you can't control whether a house happens or not, or a house sale happens or not. You can only control your individual activities. That's all that we are in control of. Does my lead measure that I'm doing in my actual physical effort or my system or my mailers or my internet leads, if I do this right, does it equal out to the outcome that I want? So excellent. Yeah, that's a big piece. And the other thing is we have to know where the hell we want to go. I talked to so many people and I'm like, I want to sell like, I don't know, maybe around, what do you think's good? 18 houses this year, 20? What do you think? I'm like, I don't know. It's not my goal. Like, it's your goal, dude. Like, you got to tell me, like, and you got to make sure that I tell people it's got to be the code to your lockbox. It's got to be every waking second that you think of, right? Like, if your number is 24, your lockbox code is 2424. If you know, whatever it is, like, it has to be that level of passion where it doesn't go away and it doesn't change when things get hard. Is this going to take a shoot ton of work? Hell yeah, it's going to take a shoot ton of work. It's going to take work. It's going to take intestinal fortitude to actually suck up and go, I'm not doing it. I'm behind. And here's the biggest thing that's going to happen. You're going to leave today. You're going to think about doing this. You're going to not do it. Some of you will do it. And then what will happen is the first week you go to do it, you're going to go, whew, smells like work, right? And then all of a sudden, your scoreboard, you go, oh, you know what? We got to put a picture up there or something. It just doesn't look, and then you move it down, something goes away. Your marbles aren't doing it for you anymore. Everyone, I can tell you, I've lived it. It's like, just like if you want to lose weight, put your scale in front of your refrigerator. Seriously, right? Or a lock on your refrigerator, one of the two. Something has to change. It's these minor little changes that change the entire course. But if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. And I just want each of you to make sure that you know where Everest is, you know what the activities are to get there, you have it visual, and you're talking about it on a weekly basis with that cadence of accountability, and you're talking about why it happened or why it didn't and what you need to do to adjust. You don't adjust the goal, you adjust what has to be removed from the roadblocks for it to become a reality. All right, everyone.
I have a question.
Please, yeah.
Thanks, Brendan.
Thank you, Jonathan.
So, quick question is, you have the 15 for 500, which I'm trying to model after,
Sure.
but we didn't have 15 activities. We only have 8, but so I'm doing 8 for 500. But so you have that contest going, plus then you have your 2 main metrics for everyone to follow. Is that correct?
That is correct. So what she's talking about is our 15 for 500 program. So in our organization, I had 2 options, the stick and the carrot. And the stick wasn't working. I could hit there and beat you and say, do this, do that, do that, do that. So I said, you know what, I'm going to change it for my team. And I created the carrot. So when you accomplish 15 activities that we know lead to real estate success in our organization, I give you $500 a month, $6,000 a year if you nail these activities. The activities are as follows. You have to complete, and this should be for any agent that wants to have success, not just our team, right? So it's 11, what we call money sessions. 11 call sessions per month have to be attended live via Zoom, and we have to see you actually making phone calls. Can't just sit on the Zoom and be like, right, picking your nose. The next activity is you have to host 2 open houses every month. And I don't care, oh, there's no inventory, but believe me, I've watched people get so creative now trying to make sure that this happens. We're doing open house for sale by owner open houses now. Every agent on earth can do 2 open houses a month if they put their mind to it, right? The third is we have a measurement with our Mojo dialer. You have to have a minimum of 4 hours of talk time on our Mojo dialer, right? And we can register that. It means that you're actually speaking to someone on the phone for 4 hours per month of talk time. So 11, 12, 13, 14. And then the last one is we do a monthly giveaway. You have to be there for the monthly giveaway and answering the phones during our 6-hour giveaway window during that thing. So if you accomplish those, I think that was 15, maybe that was, I don't know, somewhere close to that. So you could play with this however it is for yourself, right? Like she just said, you could do 8 for $80. I don't know if I'd do 8 for 500, but she's just a nice lady, right? I'd do like 8 for $8. But no, whatever those activities are, right? We have to make all this fun. We're little kids at the end of the day. We like treats and rewards. That's what we enjoy. And the more people that know it, again, why do you have a chore chart for your kids? It's the same thing. Never changed. It's just now there's hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line for doing the silliest little activities. All right. So everyone, I'm here if you need anything. If you want more scoreboard examples, if you want to send me yours, my team, even as we talk about this all the time, they'll send me their scoreboard. I'd be like, doesn't make any sense. And then I have to be like, this is why. So if you're like, hey, will this work? Feel free to shoot it to me. I'll take a look at it. I'll give you my opinion of it. I want you to get it right because it's that important. All right. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful session. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, if you found any value in this, do me that solid. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'd really appreciate it. Have a great year.